love the statement at the beginning that men ought to pray and not faint. And I got to thinking about those two words, pray or faint, and there is something that is almost a synonym to the two, where when you faint or when you pray, either way you're going to bow. One, you're going to bow because your body cannot take you any further. You're going to fall. You're going to faint. But the other is you're going to bow in prayer. The difference is choice. We have a choice whether we're going to make a decision to follow God, to bow before Him, or not. And I thought that was very interesting, and that was not the focus of the devotional, except that the focus of our theme for the retreat this weekend has been based on choice in Joshua chapter 24, 14, and 15. And so it just fits so well. So I appreciate you mentioning that, and I wanted to give that connection. Verse 14 of Joshua 24 says, "Now therefore fear the Lord and serve Him in sincerity and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. And if it is evil in your eyes to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve. Whether the gods your fathers served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." What I wanted to focus on with this passage, what I initially wrote, was Joshua is giving us this incredible opportunity to choose. And I say us in a secondary way. We're so far removed from this, we're able to read this and see that we all have a choice. But this is not just an academic choice, all right? I hear what he's saying, check. I'll make the choice. I want to choose to follow God. But sometimes we need to realize what he says at the very end gives us another aspect to this that goes beyond academics. It's example. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And what he's showing us is we need Joshuas. We need Joshuas to show us the way, to show us how to make the choice, to show us what that choice looks like. And at the retreat, we had several Joshuas. Now, we had Joshua Johnson showing us how to be the, I just went blank. The ringmaster, greatest showman, that's it, the greatest showman. But what I mean is we saw Joshuas who made the choice, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I had the example of that this morning with Rodney Denson when he got up and just presided over the Lord's Supper in a few moments. And it brought him, you choked up, brother. And that, and I even pointed out that encouraged me because that, again, was a result. And I'm sorry I threw you on the bus right there mentioning that. But when we approach the throne of God and we consider the bread and we consider the fruit of the vine, when it hits us in our heart, that hits our tear ducts, and it's something that is a result, and we need to see that example if it's going to take place. Another example we had was Darnell Self got up and sang with, we had the Deerfoot talent show, and he got up and sang a song to Sharon. And I told you we needed to see that. Our youth needed to see that dedication over 60 years, and it was precious. Our youth needed to see the Deerfoot Divas. And let me explain. The elders' wives that were there, they started the show. I felt like it should have been the end of the show, like just should have, but it was the beginning, and it caused everyone to say, who can follow this? But the elders' wives, they got up and they made sure that their husbands were all in the front row. And I even went up to them at the beginning. I said, we already have the judges. We don't need the elders up front, No, but what was wonderful is they did the song, I'll Say a Little Prayer for You. And it showed us that our elders' wives pray for their husbands and what they're doing. And it was a great example to all of us. We need Joshua's. We need those who will show us how it's done. We needed those individual conversations that helped connect us in ways that had not done previously. And I think that's what's wonderful. It's those times where we have that togetherness that helps us and it drives us forward and it keeps us praying rather than fainting. It keeps us going. We need Joshua's to choose this day whom they will serve. We need those who are saying, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And we need to see that ringing true. Children don't just need to see it. Adults need to see it. We all need it. But you know, Jesus said it best when he said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. But we understand the reason is to give glory to your Father who is in heaven. But when we think maybe giving glory, it might be in prayer. But really, we give glory to God when we follow suit. So when you show that example of letting the light shine, it causes others to grab hold of the light. And it creates more examples. It creates more Joshua's shining Christian examples, giving glory to God. And it's interesting that we say we need more Joshuas, because the Hebrew word for Joshua is Jeshua, but the Greek word for Jeshua is Iesu. And in English, it's Jesus. Jesus and Joshua are the same name. And so Jesus is our ultimate Joshua. He is our Jeshua, and he is our ultimate example of following in his steps. For to this you've been called, because Christ also suffered for you, leaving you an example so that you might follow in his steps. He's given us an example. He's left us that example, and that example has continued to be left for all of us when we see others following in his steps. I meant to mention John Gallagher in his lesson, because he pointed out other examples in his lesson for those who have been influences in his life. And he has been an influence in mine and yours. And so what powerful thing is that Jesus has left us an example that we should follow in his steps? Well, that continues to this very moment. Have you followed in his steps this evening in this short devotional that we have? Have you taken up your cross to follow him? Tonight we have an invitation to encourage you, to help you in this example. And if we can be that example to you, if we can encourage you in any way, please respond now while together we stand and as we sing.